So at this checkpoint in life, and then I'll turn it back over to Garen after this question. At this checkpoint in life, Isaac, the junior in college Isaac and what he projected versus the 2025 Isaac and where he um, looks back at the picture or looks at the current state. How far are you off from where you thought you would be?
So that's a hard question to answer because I didn't have a lot of definition on where I thought I would be.
Mm,
I appreciate that.
that's
I
honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't. I envisioned a family and a successful career. Whatever that means. Suit, tie, briefcase, going to work. Um, I didn't put a dollar amount on it. I didn't put a title on it. And so from that aspect, I'm hitting those goals because it just wasn't defined.
Okay.
Um, so for me though, what I'm doing now is let me give you some the backdrop from 2019 to now. I call my years a failure.
Okay.
My years of failure. Uh,
Okay.
I was I joined a company that went out of business, so I lost that job. I was in another job where I just couldn't make it work with my boss, so I quit that job. This is the years that I got divorced. Um, so in the last 6 months to a year, I have been reassessing who I am and where I want to go. So when you ask me what's next, that's perfect. I mean, this is the perfect time to ask me what's next, because I have that clear in my head right now.
Mm,
And what I am doing is going back to not college, but what high school, and saying, what did you dream about in high school? Because
That's dope.
I'm starting to see value in the high school years, uh
mm.
as just the what you pictured raw. I feel like I knew what I was looking for. I knew me. I knew it was fun. And then college was like a dose of reality of, but you can't do this and you got to do this and this is what's
Yeah.
expected. But high school was that just dreaming, right? And so one of the things I did in October, no, November, was I bought a Corvette because
November
last year,
of 24.
yeah, last year,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I bought a Corvette. It looks just like the one on my wall. It's a
An
69,
old one. Oh,
69 gold
69.
Corvette,
Okay. Yeah.
because that's what makes me happy. And what I'm transitioning from is this these years of how do I give back, and I am transitioning into a very selfish period of my life, which
Oh,
is how do I make myself happy?
interesting.
And yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So I am going back to what did I dream about? And so professionally, I come from a construction family. I was around construction all the time. So that's where I'm
Mhm.
pivoting to because I love it.
Okay. So your new phase is, so I knew last time we spoke, I think you were in education. So that
Yep.
seems like it's behind you now,
Yep.
and you are now moving into construction.
Yeah. So I am
Okay.
I am looking at about 10 more years of strong work life and strong vacation life
Okay.
where I can have
Okay.
fun. And I'm gonna jam pack it full of fun as much as I can. And I consider the first half of my career as I did all I could to help. Now that's secondary.
Mm.
If some yeah, first I got to take care of me. Now I'll
So
take I'll take your judgment on is
no,
that
no, no, no,
selfish or
no,
not.
no,
I'll,
no.
I'll take
See,
it.
no, 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 Isaac. You know me too well. But you knew the older version. This is a newer version. This is
Oh man.
this is 2.0, my friend.
Okay.
Help the audience understand what you mean, because I know you well enough to know there's deeper meaning to this. You've got kids you love. You've got a family you love. You've got people in your life that I know will always remain important to you. Yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is about Isaac finding Isaac's purpose, finding what charges Isaac's batteries, and making sure that there's enough of that in the life balance to make anything else that he does worth it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I, I dig that.
Without neglecting any of the commitments I've made. So you talk about I got two kids in college, one on the way. Those still priority. But I am looking at, so my midlife crisis is I am looking at not um, death being imminent, but the ability to be healthy and active being imminent, being taken away.
Ah,
So I can't guarantee past 65 I'm going to be able to get on a plane and go visit Australia. So I got to get that. I got to get that in.
mm,
I can't guarantee I'll have the energy to do, fill in the blank. So I am trying to jam pack that in now to enjoy life. And that's why I started with the vet. I was like, if not now, when? I've been putting it off for years and years. Well, I just did it.
yeah, yeah.
I got a thought.
Whew, this is good, man. Oh man,
So,
this is gonna get some comments for sure.
so
Go ahead,
yeah,
Gary.
yeah. So I appreciate you taking this new approach, and dare I say, it's not selfish. Or okay, let's use the word selfish. I think the people around you are going to experience a better version of you, even in this season of selfishness, because you're going to have this overflow. You're going to be filled, and everybody's going to receive your overflow. In the past, when
Well
you
said.
were trying to give from a cup that was already empty, or you were trying to fill it, right? And of course, you were using work and all these other things to fill it. They weren't quite doing the job. You said it was incomplete, but you still want to give. Give what? You're manufacturing this this abundance to give versus whatever is going to come out of you naturally, which is coming from like your identity at its core. I think it's going to be more authentic. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be fun for everybody around you because you've now taken this approach. So there is no judgment there. It's actually a celebration because you're here. Um, I like what you said about you know you don't know what you're going to be able to do past 65. Like yeah, that's real. Um, and the fact that you're making these decisions, man, the car, uh, going back to when you were 16, when things were fresh and just, you know, what you call it,
Unencumbered.
unencumbered, right? Yeah, just whatever it is I want to do. And even if it doesn't fly the way that you intend for it to fly, you're fulfilling going on that thrilling ride again, right? You're doing something risky. You're playing with it like that's your decision. No longer is it someone else's decision while you're doing something. You are choosing to do this. So you're gonna have fun with it anyways. Like this is a really cool period for you, man. Like I see
Yeah.
it.
So
And thank
one
you,
of the
and thank you for the way you said it, because that now that helps me, because I still have a
Okay.
giving attitude. I always have a giving attitude. It's just secondary. And so
Yeah.
now if I'm able to fill my cup when the ask is made to give, I have way more to give.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not like I won't give. It's just I don't wake up in the morning thinking, how can I give?
Right.
so man, Isaac, this has gone directions I did not anticipate, which is why you had to be a guest. Every time you and I have sat down, we've ended up in places I don't think either of us thought we would. Um, I'm interested in how your cup ran out. I'm interested in how you got to this place where this pivot of reprioritizing the balance of your life became an imperative. If I don't do this and if I don't do this now, I can't guarantee that the next phase of my life will have any kind of joy,
Mm.
meaning, satisfaction, fulfillment. Please help our audience understand what are the signs and symptoms of running out.
What are the signs and symptoms of running? I don't think I recognize them. I think life happened to me and caused me to look back. I was at
Mm,
a fraternity meeting of mine, and a guy stood up and said, it was a mental health segment, and he said, there are four triggers in life where you need to pause and either seek professional help or tap your friends for help. And he said, if you have a death of a loved one, you lose your job, um, divorce. I think the fourth one was going to jail or something like that. Severe legal problems. Three of those happened to me in 1 year. Uh, 1 year, and I'm listening and I'm going, oh. So that's when I paused and I said, what do I want out of life? Because now I've got this stopping point. I wouldn't call it rock bottom, but it's a stopping point where I've got to rebuild who I am, so that I enjoy the next half.
Mm.
What does that next half look like? Because right now, it I'm just letting life happen to me. So I would say I missed most of the signs. I would say I got burned out in healthcare longer than I should have. Longer than I should have. I stayed in
mm,
healthcare longer than I should have. But then again, you go back to, but it made me who I am.
yeah.
Mm. You use the word rebuild. Would a better word be allow? Allow this version of yourself to reveal itself,
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
right? Because it seems as
Allow
though
yes.
yeah, rebuild seems as though it's work involved. Like I have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Whereas when
I
you
have to
pause,
free. I have to free what's there, but at the same time, incorporating what's what I already built. Through this journey, I've become something.
yeah,
I can build on that and make use of that. But at the same time, pull back that inner Isaac that wants to do this and that and make something out of it.
yeah.
So, Garen, this really sounds like that authenticity you and I talk about from time to time, which is when you put away all of the things that we projected about ourselves,
Hmm.
and then we start to allow who we really are and have become to come through,
Yeah.
it creates a completely different wavelength, right? And again, everything Isaac is talking about, he has defined it as fun,
Hmm.
right? The imagery is leaning off a cliff, just living right beyond the comfortable, what that does to you in terms of your growth, your wisdom, your journey, just the reward that comes from living life that way.
Yep.
I mean, it's a powerful thing. It's getting me to check up and reevaluate the way some of the things I've thought are played out. Um, man, Isaac. Okay, so you're onto this new journey. So we mentioned this earlier, and I wanna really help wrap this up for the audience in your words. So as you think about the next 20 years, you talked about, I'll call it being more spontaneous, right? So when the interest or something, is there, going and experiencing something before you miss an opportunity to, for whatever reason. Um, but what else about the next 20 years can you tell us about the things that really matter to people? That matter to people. Where are you going over the next 20 years?
I don't know, James. What matters to people? Help me with that. What matters to people? Money, status.
Mm, Yep, all those things, Isaac. Because at the end of the day, we're all three of us are in a very similar dynamic, right? Recent change, started my own company, doing my own thing. Garen is having changes in his company now, redefining himself. You're going through a similar thing where you're that. So all three of us are in it. So three people talking to each other from a similar position in life. I get it. I get what you're saying. I this makes sense to me. For people watching, waking up every day, Isaac, dreading the job they go to, or not really understanding that they're in a less than ideal situation. They might want more out of life, but all the things that come with that, house, mortgage, kids, school, church, whatever, all the things that are wrapped around their life prevent them perhaps from exploring more. So that's the audience I want you to talk to. As you project forward what you think the next 20 years will look like for you, what are the things you're prioritizing as the most important? All right. Because it will help give our audience an opportunity to see how that could align to how they think about what's most important. That's one of the foundations of this series is as we define goals early on in life, and now we've lived a little bit of life, how have those goals and that trajectory changed because of those experiences? So that's what I'm asking for your help to just conceptualize for our audience from Isaac's perspective.
So the first priority is to get my kids through college, and so that there is a price tag on that. So I have an income level that I need to hit.
Yeah.
Second to that is to enhance my retirement fund. So I've got a dollar amount on that, and then third is to enjoy life to the fullest, and that I did not have in my 30s and 40s, 20s and 30s. I did not have this enjoy life to the fullest. And I think that only comes from the closer you get to death, the more you see others around you dying.
Hmm.
You start asking, well, you want to do this, are you going to be able to do it? And I no longer have a title I'm searching. I'm chasing. I don't have a status I'm chasing. Uh, I don't care about what people think of me. If I'm at a dinner party and they ask me, well, what are you doing? I don't care what answer I give them. I don't care what they think about the answer anymore. I used to. I used to. Hey, so I hear you in Chicago. What are you doing? I like to be able to give them a title in an industry that said I'm doing something. I don't care anymore. Um, I am right now. I'm actually in between uh, an opportunity that pays well. I'm doing a little consulting that's not great. Um, it's nothing to brag about, and I tell people willingly, yeah, no, I'm making a lot of money right now. I'm still waiting, and I don't care what you think about that, because my goal is my kids, my retirement, and I'm just living life to the fullest. And that's the freeing thing for me is, and I thought I did pretty good in my 20s and 30s about not chasing status. I thought I did pretty good, but I chased it a little too much. It was a little too much on my mind. And just to be able to let it go right now is freeing.
How much of that was outside in pressure in your
Oh,
20s and 30s?
totally outside. I mean that was the vision I had for my, remember I said the successful career, that's
Hmm.
where that came from. It comes from your parents, it comes from schooling, it comes from your church, that there, you need to be successful. And I really don't care what you think about my success anymore.
So, audience, I hope you pick up Isaac's mannerisms as he talks about this. I hope you pick up the words he's using because there's an authenticity here and a peace that is inspiring. To acknowledge that you don't have it all figured out, to acknowledge that you have real practical priorities that you know you have to deliver on, and to know that right now where you might be may not be the answer to all of those priorities, but to still have peace is an amazing place to be. And I say this, and I watched our last video, and I thought, oh, James, did you word that correctly? I truly believe most people will never experience what Isaac is experiencing right now. This ability to be free of the expectations of the world around us, of the standards that they set for what success looks like, and to truly embrace where you are now, the season you're in, and know that every season has a beginning and an end. And there will be a new season after this season. Or if there isn't, you've done the best you could, you've enjoyed it the most you could, and you've now moved on to whatever comes next.
Yes, and
Which is still the
as you were
season.
saying that, I don't want to cast judgment on my previous season. If you're in the season I was in, chasing that title, chasing that status, that's your season. It worked for me. I mean, it's part of my journey. It
Yeah.
made it built up my savings account. It built up my retirement account. It did give me, it boosted my ego just being at cocktail parties and say I'm this title. It worked for me. I would not change that. It's just that was that season, and now I'm in a new season. So if you're in that season, work it, chase it, chase it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I 100% agree, right? This isn't about um having a job, not having a job, having a title, not having a title. It's about the reconciliation of the life you're living on the outside versus who you are on the inside. And as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror and see that there's growth, there's progress, there's learning, there is sorry, expansion,
Hmm.
I would never look at that as a failure. Look at that as to how you set it up as just that's your season, that's your journey, work it, push it until it is until either that season hits its completion and springboards you forward, or perhaps that season continues. And there are other things in life that help to, I'd say, reprioritize what's most important, Isaac. You know, um, for some people it's health, for some people it's finance, for some people it's, family issues. It could be a number of things. Um, but something in life will push on our comfort zones and make us uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is, and what I take it as is the mental freedom to embrace whatever that is, not with fear, but embrace it as a part of life and transform yourself, leveraging that agent, right? That thing that pushes you out. Leverage that to help you learn more about yourself and to make sure that you are truly living the priorities that you want to live,
Mm.
and that fill your cup.
Yeah.
It's the emptying of the cup that's the danger zone. When you get to the bottom and you don't have a lot of options, that's when things get challenging. Anything, Garen?
Not at
So
all.
you talked about, you mentioned failure, and it's
Yeah.
a point of contention between me and the same lady that talked about that taught me about appreciating your journey, that the journey that made you who you are. We go back and
Yep.
forth about failure. I embrace failure. I want to get to, I want to try something until I fail. So now I know my limits. I know what I can't do. And so we had this argument because she's like, oh, but it's not really failure. You really try hard. I was like, no, no, no. I failed at that. I failed. And now I have all the learning that comes with failing to go win.
Have you always been comfortable with, have you always had a close and personal relationship with failure in a way that makes it not inducing?
No, because I was always worried about the people finding out that I failed.
Uh,
And only
yeah.
only in the last couple years I started embracing, forget about that. Forget about that. What are you going to learn? What are you going to learn from failing? And
Yeah.
so I mentioned my political aspirations. I failed at politics, couldn't get it going. Now I know.
Again, I
Now I
wouldn't give
know
up. I
what it
would.
takes.
I
And I,
wouldn't give up on that for you because I think if it came calling, Isaac, with some backing, would you reconsider that?
sure, of course. But on my own, I couldn't do it. So now I know what I can and can't do. It's freeing.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead, man.
So as I listen to this, I find myself thinking about the people in the audience who are who are very cautious in how they make decisions, right?
Yes,
Their personalities like that. Who, you know, you're the guy who's down for the thrill ride. I have a little bit of that in me,
you
right?
do. Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I find some of the sports that I've gotten into, the healthy choices, they tend to help that.
Although you won't skydive.
That I will not do. That I will
All
not do.
right, all
No.
right.
But I think about those individuals who need to have a measure of predictability, right? They are very cautious about making some of these crazy leaps and jumps, and what does freedom look like for them is what I wonder. What does peace look like for them
Yeah,
stepping into the unknown? Because this is what I'm seeing that we're talking about. You're stepping into the unknown and you are embracing the unknown as my thrill ride, or as I don't care what anyone says. This is my new season of stepping into this space,
yeah,
and whatever happens will happen.
yeah.
You were asking Isaac these questions as to, what does the next 10, 20 years look like? It may just be the unknown,
Right,
and embracing that and finding
right,
peace and comfort there.
right.
For those people who struggle, not even struggle, like caution is
Hmm.
their thing,
Hmm.
what does peace look like to them? I can't answer that question
Well, as
personally,
you and
you
I
know?
talked about as we closed the intro conversation, is you're just signing up for a journey.
Okay.
You're signing up for experiences that you're not quite sure what they're going to be.
Hmm.
And you are signing up to grow and learn and fail and succeed and transform, knowing that at the end of it, the general trend line is up. And up doesn't necessarily mean up financially, doesn't necessarily mean up healthy wise. It just means you will be up in your wisdom. You would have learned more and experienced more, and you will be an asset to something, someone, or frankly, just yourself,
Mm.
because you would have lived.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And you would have lived in a way that it gets you to absorb as much of those experiences as you can, not from a outside in, this is happening to me, but I'm embracing them.
Yeah.
To hear this brother talk about how he embraces failure,
Yeah.
it sounds like they're best friends. I'm not there. I'm not there yet, but
Uh,
I get what he's saying,
he
and
works this thing to failure, so
he
he knows that he's
he
he's
knows where
complete.
his limits are.
Sure,
He
sure.
can now start the post mortem and say, okay, here's where I'm strong, here's where I'm weak, here's what I need to work on. Perhaps I need to go spend more time doing this to
Yeah.
help get stronger there. Like, if you're truly genuine and you are able to look in the mirror every day, Garen, and say, whew, that was a tough assignment. Where are my notes? Let me get to work. Like, and I was, now, if that's not the way
it,
you approach it, then
it
please correct. But it's what
it
I
allows
get
you to
from what you're
take on
saying.
big goals. Embracing
Yeah.
failure allows you to take on the impossible. If
Yeah.
so, James, let's take that out. And somebody says, we talk about political backing. If somebody says, Isaac, I think you could go for, we would fund you all the way to President of the United States. Well, if I have no fear of failure, I'm doing it. It's like, oh, okay. When I
Just to do it.
fail,
Yeah.
I'll know as far as I can go.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
give it a
With
try.
what
As
you have
long
now.
as it meets my personal goals. That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
only thing I have to run it through. And so the biggest thing I've learned in life is I know how to create peace in my life. I know how to maintain the peace in my life no matter what happens. I know how
Mm.
to do that. Sometimes I've got some bad days. Sometimes it takes me 24 hours to get out of it, but I know how to get back to peace. And so now what I'm trying to do is fund joy. That I can't create joy on my own. I can create peace. Now I'm trying to use all of my resources, my time to do things that are just enjoyment.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh man. It
This,
sounds so simple.
no, I mean,
I'm saying that facetiously.
yeah,
I'm
because I'm
saying
about
that
to say,
clearly
oh my,
facetiously.
But
this
when
morning I
when
woke
you
up.
don't understand yourself enough to know how to be peaceful, you're funding peace, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
you think that Benz is going to bring you peace, a new wife is going to give you peace. If my kids got their grades together right, to give you peace. No, no, peace is on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Peace is on you,
It is.
and
It is.
that takes
Woo!
a lifetime to learn.